Hello guys, welcome to Agriculture Tutorials, Indian Constitution. Press Bureau of India released the PDF of 28 pages, Indian Constitution, 75 years facts. Preface: the Indian Constitution is the cornerstone of Indian's democracy, shaping the nation as a sovereign, secular, and inclusive republic. Adopted on November 26, 1949, the Constitution was crafted by the Constituent Assembly formed on December 6, 1946, to represent the nation's diverse voice, drawing inspiration from global frameworks while addressing India's unique needs. It became the lengthiest and most detailed constitution in the world, uniting a vast population and safeguarding the rights of every citizen. This ebook celebrates 75 years of this, this remarkable document by representing 75 facts that illuminate its origin and principles' ongoing relevance. Each fact offers insights into the legacy of a constitution that continues to guide and inspire the world's largest democracy. The third page, Indian Constitution, Assembly composition. The Constituent Assembly was initially composed of 389 members. 292 members were elected through the provincial legislative assemblies. 93 represented the Indian princely states, and 4 represented the chief commissioner's provinces. Members were chosen by indirect election as per the cabinet mission recommendations. Coming to the fourth page of this ebook, Indian Constitution inaugural session. The Constituent Assembly held in its first session on December 9, 1946, in the Constitution as a Hall of Parliament House, now known as Samvidhan Sadan. Dr. Sachidananda Sinha presented as a interim president during this inaugural meeting. On December 11, 1946, Dr. Babu Rajendra Prasad was appointed as the permanent president of the Constituent Assembly. Indian Constitution post-partition changes. The Mountbatten Plan of June 3, 1947 led to the creation of separate Constituent Assembly for Pakistan. Representatives from some provisions ceased to be the part of assembly after partition. The assembly's membership was subsequently reduced to 299 members. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar initially contested the Constituent Assembly seat from Bombay President but lost the Indian Constitution seats and nomination. Dr. Ambedkar initially contested the Constituent Assembly seat from Bombay Presidency but lost. He was elected to the Assembly from Bengal but lost his seat after the partition. 2 times Dr. B.R. Ambedkar lost his Constituent Assembly chair seat. However, the Congress party later nominated him from Bombay Residency. Even the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar 2 times he failed to achieve the success. So success needs hard work. So we need so much pain and so much efforts, so many days. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar written this constitution from different nations, adoption of different constitutions. But even the constitution author architect, he failed the Constitution Assembly seat twice from Bombay and then Bengal. Again, Congress party later automatically nominated him from Bombay Presidency. Out of the 299 members of the assembly, 299 were elected from 12 Indian provinces and 70 were nominated from 29 princely states. Next, women pioneers in Indian Constitution. The Constitution Assembly was included 15 women members, notably women members including Sarojini Naidu, Raj Kumari, Amrit Kaur, and Sucheta Kripalani. This woman advocated for equal rights during a time when women had limited rights globally. The Indian Constitution. First proceedings on December 9, 1946. The session began with the singing of Vande Mataram, symbolizing India's struggle for freedom and unity. Acharya Kripalani delivered the inaugural address welcoming the members and emphasized the importance of unity and amidst diversity. The first day concluded with all 207 members present submitting their credentials and singing their register. Indian Constitution flag adoption. The national flag of India was adopted in its present form on 22nd July 1947 by the Constituent Assembly. It served as the flag of the Dominion of India from 15th August 1947 to 26th January 1950 and the Republic of India thereafter. The saffron symbolizes the strength, white denotes peace with Dharma Chakra, and green signifies fertility and growth. Indian Constitution Transitional Assembly. On the night of the August 14, 1947, the Constituent Assembly convened in the Constituent Hall. The assembly transited to become the Legislative Assembly of Independent India at midnight. This shift marked the final step of the colonial rule and India's independence. Key committees in Indian Constitution. Rajendra Prasad chaired several key committees including those on rules of procedure, steering committee, finance and staff, and the national flag. Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer led the credential committee while B. Pattabi Sitaramaya chaired the House Committee. K. M. Munshi headed the Order of Business Committee and G. V. Mavalankar led the Committee on the Functions of the Constituent Assembly. Indian Constitution. B. R. Ambedkar's vision. The drafting committee, chaired by Dr. B. R. Ambedkar, was the first most important committee of the Constituent Assembly. Dr. B. R. Ambedkar introduced the final draft of the Constitution to the Assembly on November 4, 1948 for the first reading. The Assembly held a general discussion on the draft for 5 days, concluding on November 9, 1948. Drafting committee was elected on August 29, 1947. The committee worked for 141 days to prepare the draft constitution. The draft constitution initially contained 315 articles and 8 schedules before deliberations. The draft discussions. The assembly spent 165 days in deliberations on the draft constitution. On this 165 days, 114 days were specifically devoted to the discussing the draft constitution. A total of 7,635 amendments were proposed to the draft constitution. Finally, document of Indian Constitution came out of 7,635 proposed amendments to the draft constitution. 2,473 were moved for the consideration by the Constituent Assembly. The final constitution included 395 articles divided into 22 parts and 8 schedules. At the time of its adoption, it was the world's lengthiest written constitution. Indian Constitution Final Session. The Constitution Assembly held its final meeting on January 24, 1950. On this date, 284 members signed the Constitution and Janaganamana was officially declared India's national anthem. During the session, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was named the first President of India. At the time of final session, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was named the first President of India. Constitution Journey. The Constitution Assembly took 2 years, 11 months and 17 days to draft the Constitution of Independent India. The Assembly held a total of 11 sessions during the drafting period. Over 53,000 visitors observed the Constitution deliberations from the visitors' gallery during this period. Key dates in Indian Constitution. The Constitution of India was adopted on November 26, 1949. It came into force on January 26, 1950. January 26, 1950 is celebrated as Republic Day in India, marking the country's transition to a republic. Last, the constitutional influences. The Government of India Act of 1935 influenced the federal scheme, office of governor and judiciary provisions in the Indian Constitution. The US Constitution inspired fundamental rights, judicial review, and impeachment procedures for the president. The Irish Constitution contributed to directive principles of state policy and the methods of electing the president. Gandhian ideals on the Indian Constitution. Gandhian ideals influenced the Constitution, aiming to promote the cottage industries in rural areas through individual or cooperative efforts. Provisions were made to prohibit the consumption of intoxicants, reflecting Mahatma Gandhi's vision. These principles were incorporated as directive principles, guiding future government policies to align with the Gandhi's vision for better society. Coming to the social equality in Indian Constitution, Article 17 abolishes untouchability and forbids its practice in any form, making it punishable by law. Article 18 1 prohibits the conferring of titles except for military or academic distinctions, ending the feudal system. The Constitution ensures positive discrimination for scheduled tribes and scheduled castes to promote social, economic, and political inclusion. Handwritten masterpiece of Indian Constitution. The Constitution of India was handwritten and calligraphically crafted in both English and Hindi, consisting of 90,000 words. Prem Bihari Narayani Rajayada undertook the calligraphy of the original English version. He began the calligraphy on November 28, 1949, and completed it by late 1950 in the April on handmade Millborn loan paper. Indian Constitution historical illustrations. Nandalal Bose, the celebrated artist from Shantiniketan, decorated the calligraphic sheets. His artwork included 22 illustrations in the miniature style. This illustration depicted the important movements in Indian history from the Indus Valley to the freedom movement. Indian Constitution, guarding history. The original copies of the Indian Constitution are preserved in helium-filled cases. These cases are stored in the Library of the Parliament of India. This preservation ensures the longevity of the original document for future generations. Indian Constitution, preserving legacy. On January 26, 1950, the Parliament Secretariat took over the responsibility of preserving the original Constitution. In 1955, the Survey of India, Dehradun, produced 1,000 offset printed copies of the original Constitution. The production of these copies took 12 years of the meticulous effort. On January 26, 1950, India transited from being a dominion to a republic. The new republic replaced the Government of India Act 1935. The Constitution came into the force, signifying India's complete independence from British rule. Indian Constitution. Democratic beginnings. India's first general election were held between October 25th, 1951 and February 21st, 1952. These elections were conducted under the provisions of the newly adopted constitution. The election marked the first exercise of the democratic system established by the constitution. This work is from the research unit of Press Information Bureau, Government of India. Just for the sake of information for the nation, I provided this Press Information Bureau Research Unit PDF into a video. Please like and share and subscribe my video. Jai Hind. Jai Hind. Jai Hind.